All right, so what is your name
I'm Carrie,
and what year are you?
and I'm a 15.
And where are you from, Carrie?
I'm from Chicago.
Great. And where's your family from?
My family all grew up in Chicago as well.
Awesome. And are there any significant historical events that have influenced your family at all?
So my grandparents fled from Nazi Germany when they were about 15 years old, and they both went to different countries originally, but that was definitely a very traumatic experience that I think shaped their lives and definitely shaped my dad's and my own as well.
Awesome. So you are a student at Dartmouth?
Yes.
Yes. And can you briefly tell us about your camp experience and that you heard this story you're going to tell us in a little bit?
So I went to two different overnight camps as a kid. I started at the camp that my dad went to, which is a Jewish camp known as Olin Sang Ruby Union Institute, and the abbreviation is Osrui. And I went there for 2 years. It was really fun. I went with my twin sister, and after that, so the second summer I got really sick, and my mom was kind of like, I really want them to go to my camp, and so she kind of used that and got us to go to Walden, which is the camp that she went to in Maine, and also where my aunt went. And so at that first camp, it was much more Jewish focused than it was sports or anything else. Although we still did all of the regular camp stuff, but there was, we prayed twice a day and yeah, so it was like really different. It's one of the URJ camps.
Was it co-ed?
Yeah, it was co-ed, like so different from Walden.
Where was it?
In Wisconsin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so close to home, which was nice. And I think it was my parents kind of, and my sister and I were twins, and we both were kind of hesitant about going for longer than 2 or 4 weeks our first couple years. And so that was another reason why we went to this camp, was it was close by, like we'd been there with our dad, my brother had gone there, and it was much shorter, and then we could do other stuff during the summer and didn't have to be away from home for so long. And so at that camp, do you want me to talk about the story yet, or talk about Walden?
Is the story from Walden or from the other camp?
It's from that one, but
okay.
Should I tell you about Walden too?
Sure, why not?
Okay. And so then after that...
Big smile on your face now.
Right, yeah. And so then I went to Camp Walden for 5 summers after that, and I went for 8 weeks each summer. And it was really amazing. It was just like the most life-changing experience. The friends I've made are still the same friends I have today, and some of my very best friends. So it's wonderful, and it's really cool to see how my mom has grown with her friends from Walden as well, and they have remained her best friend throughout her life, and I hope that I'll have the same experience. So yeah, that was like more of a sports camp, but like also we did a lot of stuff dealing with like unity and tradition and teamwork, all of that kind of stuff.
Cool. So tell me about the story. Who told the story?
Okay, so the story came from this camp Osrui, which I actually went back and I was a counselor this past summer, and it was told by one of my counselors when I was little, and the story goes like this. There's this ghost named Sussy, who lives in the Bayit, also known as house. Bayit is house in Hebrew. And the counselors, according to these counselors, many of whom were campers themselves, they say that there was a little green light at the top of that somebody saw occasionally come from the attic of the house. And nobody was in the Bayit at the time. It was like completely freak event, and they were all convinced that it was a ghost. And then one day a counselor was cleaning up out there, and she, I think it was something like she heard a window close suddenly, and then the light came on, and then something freaky, but nobody ever found the counselor again. And so it was just sort of this weird story that circulated the whole camp, and all the campers believe it, and I don't know. Like, I think it's definitely a lie. Like, it's pretty much total bullshit, but the campers love it, and they love to talk about Sussy. And I will admit, even though I believe it's a lie, when I went back into the bite this summer, like, I was scared. Like, it's still a little creepy. Like, we had to go up into the attic to get t-shirts for the kids, and I was like, holy shit, like, this kind of freaks me out.
And so do you know when the story originated or where it originated from?
I think just the counselors made it up. I think it's one of those things that just, because it's like 90% of the counselors were campers themselves, I think it's sort of this fun thing that they do. They're like, oh, I was like, somebody played this trick on me when I was a camper, and now I get to do it to the younger campers now that I'm a counselor. That kind of thing. But I don't know. I'm not really sure. It never really pried.
And is there like an ideal setting of when counselors will tell the campers this scary story?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's always around a campfire, and every Saturday night after Havdalah, each unit, so the camp is sort of divided into these different groups known as units that have different focuses and stuff. So there's one that's like focused on arts, one that's focused on sports, one that's focused on living in tents, whatever. So you'll go into your unit and they'll make a campfire, and once it gets dark, we'll sing all of our songs, and then they'll tell the story.
Cool. And do you think that you'll tell the story to others one day? Or have you told the story to others one day?
Of course. I was a counselor. That was like, I mean, I never knew the story that well, so I would just reference Sussy. I wouldn't actually tell it, because I only went to camp for 2 years. Most of these kids have been going to camp for like 10 or 12. Like, they started as really young campers when they were like maybe 7 years old, and then have been on staff like until they were 21 or so. And so, like, they're the experts. I would not be the one to tell the story.
Cool. Well, thanks.
No problem.